Hi Leo, welcome back to my channel. I know I look like I ran a mile. It's because I've been doing this all day today. And that's not why my hair looked crazy. My hair always looks fucking crazy, you know me. But anyways, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a brief message for Leo, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus and North Node, I suppose. If you would like to get a fuller message, this is probably the only fire sign I'm doing right now. Make sure that you check your other placements. Make sure that you check your other placements for a more well-rounded message. Sorry, my friend just found me on Twitter and she was like reposting my selfies. She's so fucking cute. I love her. Anyways, so we're gonna go ahead and get into it. With that having been said, Leo, you might find that your friends and family are a lot more supportive of you right now for whatever reason. Not for whatever reason, you deserve it, right? Let's go ahead and get into it. So what message do we have for Leo placements? I'm hearing stunting is a habit, get like me. Have you ever seen the Chevy with the get like me? Hey, some of you guys could be dealing with a soulmate, a twin flame maybe. We have both masculine and feminine dichotomies right here. The moon and the sun respectively. And then at the bottom of the deck, we have soul forgiveness. So, Jesucristo. Ya, todo el mundo quieren interrumpirme en este momento. Anyway, so at the bottom here with soul forgiveness, what it almost kind of gives me here, if you're dealing with a soulmate, it almost gives me the energy of like maybe you've wronged somebody in the past that you really care about. It's giving romantic. I'm not going to sit here and act like the cosmic power is like, this could be friends. It's not giving friends. It's like you could have done somebody really wrong in the past, and you are learning to forgive yourself for the ways that you've wronged this person in the past. This person, you could have children with this person. You could want children with this person, but whoever this person is, it's like they are, not only are they the polar opposite energy to you, they are a complement to you. So it's kind of like exactly what it is that you lack in, this person fills the blanks in. Does that make sense? And it's like maybe previously you did not appreciate that dichotomy, or you did not appreciate what this person brought into your life or how this person added to your life, because it was a lot different from what it was that you were used to in different connections. And now as time has gone by, you've begun to really genuinely acknowledge and appreciate what this person represents, how this person treats you, your connection with this individual, and maybe you're reflecting on your behaviors in the past and are beginning to feel remorse for that. I am seeing that here. There is something very big about a dichotomy, and when I'm saying that, I don't necessarily mean like, oh, polar opposites in a bad sense. It's definitely giving complementary, because the sun and the moon, they complement each other, but they do represent different energies, whereas the solar is it typically represents masculine energies, and masculine energies is typically like what's in the light, what you can see, what's very clearly understood. Lunar energies are a lot more intuitive, a lot more hidden, a lot more fluid, a lot more emotional. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's a totally different dichotomy, but they're meant to complement each other. It's kind of making me feel about like those gender wars that we've seen on social media, where it's like, instead of just understanding that men and women are inherently different, not necessarily like, not as different as we think, but we're socialized differently. So we actually have a lot of the same fucking traits, but with socialization, a lot of people don't understand how significant socialization is. They'll say that something is like, oh, this isn't a man's nature. Not necessarily is it in their nature. It's something that they are taught to be from childhood up. So it's like, you could have been a really emotional kid. Like, let's say that you are a man. You could have been a very emotional kid, but at some point in time, somebody told you that you're a boy and boys don't cry. You can go into my pick a card reading, because I quoted Boys Don't Cry. And actually in that reading, the song Boys Don't Cry by The Cure is talking about a man who severely wronged a woman that he loved. But like he couldn't bring himself to apologize because boys don't cry. And it was kind of like the situation would get too emotional. So it was just kind of like, and I can't take it there because I'm a man. I'm not supposed to be like that. So I'm just going to let this die. That energy is coming through here. That concept is coming through here again. And then we have women who are not socialized to not be emotional. We might get made fun of for being emotional, but we're not told like girls don't cry, girls don't do this. We're told other stuff where it's like girls don't, for example, like that girls aren't logical, which is stupid, or like girls are incapable of doing X, Y, and Z, or girls should only be here, here, and here. And it's so funny to hear these gender wars that totally dehumanize both sides, because ultimately, at least in psychology, we're very keenly aware of the fact that like all of this is nurture, not nature. Does that make sense? It's like you as a woman or as a man or anywhere in between in the gender spectrum, it's like you're fully capable of being polarized on one end or the other, and it's not something that's genetically predisposed. It's just, it is what it is, right? It's like there's a lot of women that are very logical and very straightforward. I would consider myself one of them. I'm an emotional wreck. Let's not get it fucked up, but I'm an emotional wreck, but for the most part, I'm very logical when the situation calls for it. I typically allow myself to be an emotional wreck when I feel safe enough to do so. But yeah, so regardless, let's get focused again. It's like you are either forgiving yourself for the way that you've acted with somebody that you genuinely, truly love and care for, as opposed to like letting your pride and ego take the wheel and be like, okay, well, fuck it. Because you really do appreciate the opposing traits of this person that you genuinely do care about and view as a soulmate. So we're gonna go ahead and get into, let's see, what do we have for Leo placements? Oh, also, Mercury went, I always say Gatorade, I'm sorry. Mercury went retrograde today in your first house. With the new moon in the first house, you could be, I'm hearing an identity crisis, but not necessarily in a bad way. You could be finding a new way to identify yourself. Where it's like before you might have acted a certain way or presented yourself one way because that's how you felt like, I don't know, like you wanted to be perceived, especially in the first house, which is all about how other people perceive you. Like I'm a Scorpio rising, so it's like how I view myself and how I'm perceived by other people are typically radically different. I'm often very surprised by how people perceive me, but if you are a Leo rising, it's like people probably perceive you as very vibrant and you probably get a lot of attention even if you don't fucking want it, right? But it's like a way that you might have been presenting yourself to the world. And with the false person here, I'm getting something about a mask that you might have been wearing to the world or even to this person. That you're working really, really hard to keep up, but it was making you depressed, or maybe you were trying to, something about a facade that now you're beginning to forgive yourself for, because you're beginning to realize that it's blocking you off. For some of you guys, this could pertain to a marriage, but we're gonna get into that later. Either you could be in a marriage and that marriage might not be fulfilling for you, or you could decide that you actually do want to marry somebody. And you might have severely hurt the person that you really care about. I don't know. You might have also realized that like trying to upkeep this facade or whatever it is, or trying to keep up with whatever it was you were presenting to other people of the world really got burdensome for you. And it's just kind of like maybe you thought that that was what you needed to do to achieve your dreams. Clarity on the distant horizons. I'm hearing boys don't cry, yeah. Clarity on the toil and labor. It's like as time went forward and as you naturally changed and evolved, you began to realize that like who you were is not who you are now. You know what I'm saying? You know, some people like as we get older, I've noticed that with women, our Saturn return is very significant around like 28 to 30. But for men, I think it's their Uranus return, which is like more in their late 30s. Where like they begin to question their values and they begin to have so the midlife crisis that people talk about men going through, I think is typically around the Uranus retrograde. Do not quote me on that. Where it's like now you're beginning to like, wait, hold on, who am I? What am I doing? Why am I acting this way? Is this really what I want? And that's when a lot of men do like decide to like get a divorce and like shave their head and like go travel the world. Or conversely, you could already been doing that shit and now you're like, actually do want to have a stable and consistent relationship with somebody. I do want this level of commitment that I thought I didn't want. For some of you guys, the person that you're presenting yourself as, it's like somebody that works really, really, really hard. Maybe you were somebody that was like, I don't have time for a relationship, or like a relationship is gonna slow me down. Like that information is, or that I see that here as well. Yeah. It's almost kind of like maybe you were sabotaging with work, where it's like you used work as a distraction. It's like you might have identified so highly with your career that like other aspects of your life that maybe you didn't want to address because they hurt you. Like maybe you've been hurt a lot when it comes to love or romance or something. So it's like, you know, money doesn't break my heart. I'm a Capricorn, period. I know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm the exact same way. You know, I can make up for the pain that I felt in the past, whether that's pain from childhood or pain from love or pain from family, with my accomplishments. But then ultimately it's like, okay, but the soul really does need love. It does need connection. It does need all of those things. And you can try to mask over that like you're too tough for that, or you're too strong for that, or you're too good for that. But nobody's too good for that. Listen to me, honey bun. You wouldn't be here if you could be above love, you know what I'm saying? Or above connection, or above intimacy, even if it wasn't something that was long lasting between your parents. It's like everybody acts through those primal needs of love and affection. Whether they can maintain it is a different story, but that's typically contingent upon people's insecurities, their values, whether they do or do not have a personality disorder. There's a lot that goes into that, but let's go ahead and keep going. So what message do we have for Leo placements? I feel a need to cry. I feel like I want to cry. I feel like crying. So this could be something. I'm hearing Martian. So maybe in the past with this cosmic power being dichotomized between you and another individual, you might have been handling this from a very Martian place. And when I say Martian, I mean the traits of Mars. So aggression, conflict, war, defensiveness, all of that. Mars also rules Aries and Scorpio, and in Aries it's like an independent, like this is me, like this is me and my identity, I do what I want, very headstrong. And the person that you're connecting with might be more of a Libran, Venusian nature, where it's like harmony, networking, we can work through this together, we can make things right as a unit. And it's like maybe, we'll keep going, but there is something about that here. What message do we have for Leos? Your energy is coming through here, Leo. And we have Aries and Scorpio. What the fuck did I say? We also have Capricorn here. So it looks like you want happiness. I do see that. You want happiness and you want fulfillment. Oh my God, I just got a knot in my stomach. Something might be making you really uncomfortable. Clarity on this Ace of Wands. So there's something that you want to make happen. Like maybe you're focusing on your career, your financial stability right now, so that you can work your way up to quite possibly having a commitment with somebody that you really care about. It does look like you might have suffered a really big financial loss or a loss of some sort in the past. So it's like you're trying to make sure that you can build yourself up to where you're stable again. I am seeing that come across here also. Especially if you have a business or children, I am seeing that here too. Clearly on the King of Pentacles. You could be going through a divorce right now. I am hearing that. Yeah, we have the Justice card here. You could be dealing with a Libra. Capricorn's coming through here. So for some of you guys, you might have been afraid. Yeah, there's some sort of fear-based mindset that you were working through or that you were functioning with that maybe you're beginning to realize was holding you back from being happy. For some of you guys, I'm hearing falling off. So it's like maybe you worked really, 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 really hard to achieve something, and like what you achieved is already stable and established. Just bear with me. You're already stable, right? And it's like, this is what you know. Whatever it is that you have been working on, or whatever you've been doing for an extended period of time, whether that's business or whatever the case might be, that's what you're familiar with, right? You know, if I do this, I will get that. It is giving very masculine energy. It's like, this is what I know, this is what makes fucking sense, okay? But recently, it's like you might have been really going back and assessing your investments or what you've invested your time. I'm hearing purpose, like your purpose in life. It's like there has to be something more to life than whatever it was that you were experiencing at this point in time, right? Clarity on the Seven of Pentacles. This is pertaining to romance as well. You could be dealing with a Gemini as well. It's almost kind of like you have built yourself up to a certain point, correct? And it's giving the vibe of like, when it comes to love, it's almost kind of like, this hasn't gone anywhere for me. And you might be really going back and addressing that, like, this hasn't gone anywhere for me. Why has this not gone anywhere for me? And you might begin to realize that it's something that you've done that maybe you've been bypassing, or maybe you've been overlooking, or something of that nature, where it's like now you're going back and you're assessing either a past connection or a past relationship or something like that, where it's like you're beginning to realize that certain toxic behaviors are the reason why something didn't go somewhere, as opposed to like maybe a victim mindset where it's like, oh, this just isn't for me, or I'm not meant for this, or it never works out for me. Like you might be beginning to go back and be like, well, maybe this hasn't happened for me because I'm not the best communicator. Maybe, like I said, Martian versus Libran, right? Or Martian versus Venusian, where it's like maybe I've been going into this too selfishly or too headstrong when I could have bent a little bit. I could have been a little bit more flexible, right? I could have been a little bit more open-minded instead of only going for what I wanted all the time. And now you're beginning to realize either something could make you happy or something does make you happy, but maybe I'm hearing something about sabotage. You've sabotaged it in the past, and now you're like, for you to be able to move forward with that, you have to forgive yourself and allow yourself to understand that you were working from a more wounded place. And it happens to everybody. Clarity on the sun. Definitely when it comes to you and another person, a soulmate, you could be overthinking this a lot too. Like you could be mulling over the situation. So I'm not sure what happened between you and this person. Okay, I'm just gonna let it happen. So there is a song, it was like a leaked song from Drake, and it was called I'm the Problem. And I heard like right away, he says, I'm still fucked up from me living in Atlanta. 3 hoes ain't enough, girl, I ain't Santa. Out the back though, can't get caught on camera. I can change, I put the shit on Sandra. And in the song, he's essentially like reiterating like, I'm a good person, like I'm a good man, like I'm capable of being a good man for you. I'm capable of being what it is that you want me to be. It's just, I have this trauma from the past. I have this trauma that's unresolved that like I'm coping with this, that, and the other, but I really do care about you. I'm aware that what you're asking of me is not too much. It's just like, for whatever reason, I'm getting in my own way with it. So like I said, don't ask me why I know the words to that song so well. Just know that that's what's coming through, okay? So there's some sort of argument or some sort of conflict that's happening right now. You might be trying to get a new beginning with somebody, or you might be trying to work toward a new beginning with somebody, but there's some sort of, I'm hearing a work conflict or drama at work. Something's happening. Yeah, and it's a spiritual lesson. That's the reason why this drama is happening. It is a spiritual lesson. So it's like, So you're being held up right now by some sort of conflict or some sort of drama, but it's actually spiritually ordained is what it sounds like, because you could have taken a certain path or you could have taken certain actions where like I'm seeing a fork in the road where it's like you could go here or you could go there. This is probably what you were being called to go to. Let's say that, whatever that is or whoever that is, where you were being guided. And this is the past pattern, right? And we don't judge people that go back to the past pattern, because sometimes we have to go back through another cycle again to fully gauge what it is that we were supposed to learn in that. And it could be really uncomfortable. It's giving Saturn energy, where like Saturn is like, okay, you learned all of this shit. We're gonna bring you back into the same situation. Here's the fork in the road again. What is it that you're gonna do now? And maybe the first time that you were at the fork in the road, you went back toward those old habits and those old patterns. And you re-experienced what it was like to be in those situations again, or deal with those kinds of people again. Or if this is about romance, like the old people that you used to engage with, like how that really was making you feel, especially if this is like somebody, like if it comes to romance, you left somebody that you had a good connection with, to go back to the past. And it's like, here's the drama again, here's the arguments, here's the fighting, here's the back and forth, here's the toxicity. And it's like, wait a minute, this isn't where I want to be. This isn't what I thought. Because maybe once again, this was new territory for you. And it's like, although you were being beckoned in that direction, it's like, that was the unknown. I'm going to go back to what I do know. And then you go back to what you do know. And it's like, oh, I didn't realize how badly I was being treated, or I didn't realize that, like, now that I've experienced one thing before, like I've experienced the happy, healthy relationship, I turned my back on that and I went back to what was familiar. And here we are again. Now I'm experiencing the drama and the trauma and the bullshit and the arguments and the, oh my God, like, is this what I was going through before? Like, when you leave a bad situation for a good one, sometimes you don't really appreciate the positive until you have it in comparison with the negative. And then it's just kind of like trying to fit these people. Can't you do, why do you act like this? Or why do you talk like this? Or why do you behave like that? Or why can't? And it's like, right, because that's not where you're supposed to be. They're not meant for you. That's not supposed to go in that direction for you. But now you got to get yourself out of it. I always tell people there is, at least in Hinduism, like the tests of the goddess for you to be able to achieve spiritual enlightenment, to achieve the Father, right? The goddess tests you, and more often than not, she tests you with material pursuits. So it's like material, fleshly, carnal pursuits to see if you truly have surpassed solely functioning from that place, so that you can attain enlightenment, or whatever the case, whatever you want to call it, right? That's specifically for the path for men though. For women, it's a little bit different, but it's a similar, anyways. But the goddess controls all earthly matters, all riches, precious stones, all of that is in her possession, but she can also trap you in it. So it's like the only way that you really accept that, or you really escape that trap, is by going for wisdom and enlightenment and self-discipline, which is the route of the Father, okay? Now you're supposed to integrate both, but once you do that, you gain. Okay, sorry about that, Leah. I ran out of storage, so I gotta finish this up. Once you do achieve that, then you achieve the blessing of the goddess, and then under which case, all blessings are restored to you. So it's definitely giving the vibe of like somebody returning to old patterns, and then beginning to realize, now that you're back in those old patterns, that it's like, this is actually not where you want it to be anymore. This actually wasn't for you to begin with, or you understand what I'm saying? And now it's like you're being held up, but it's not going to be forever, Leo, but it's like you will have to close all of these cycles no matter what it is. And I'm not saying like, oh, you know what, you take it as it resonates, because I don't know what's going on with you specifically, but it's like whatever the toxic pattern is, you're gonna have to go back and end those toxic cycles and end those toxic patterns, and stop going back to the past for you to truly enjoy the blessings that are ahead for you. Clarity on the Five of Wands. Yeah, there could be a lot of arguments right now. But it's almost giving the vibe of like you're aware of why that's happening. It's not like you're like, why is this going on? It's like, all right, I get it. All right, I shouldn't have done that. Or you're beginning to get the lesson now, and everybody learns in their own way, Leo, and that's true. And it's like now you're beginning to see where you can learn and where you can progress in life. So what advice do we have for Leo in this reading? Yeah, definitely being logical, using your head, and expanding, especially when it comes down to like if you want to have some sort of family dynamic or some sort of future, especially when it comes to your wealth very specifically, because family is wealth, right? If children are abundance, family is wealth, love is wealth, all of those things are wealth. And all they do when you have like a good spouse, a good partner, a healthy family dynamic, all it does is it expounds everything else in your life will grow as well. That's literally what happens with the union of these two energies, is that they both fuel each other. So it's like everything starts growing faster for you. Everything starts improving for you when you're not engaging in toxic cycles, when you are dealing with somebody that is your counterpart everything speeds up for you when you deal with your counterpart. Everything gets better for you when you deal with your counterpart, especially because your counterpart is somebody that's literally brought into your life to improve it, especially if this is like a twin flame dynamic. It's like they're here to speed shit up for you. And it's like, this is like your, I don't know how to describe it, because in my experience, it's been like, not just an other half, but like this is like an unconditional supporter of you. No matter what happens, this person is going to have your back. If you're going to betray anybody, you don't betray this person, right? But definitely using your head and being logical from this point forward, making sure that your decisions that you make are not emotionally driven or driven on impulse. It's like definitely, once again, we're working from the father's angle, right? So it's just kind of like, use the lessons that you learned over the past couple of years to make your decisions from this point forward, especially using your intuition. It's like, you know, whoever the Leos are right here, you're very spiritually attuned, okay? You're very intuitive by nature. So it's like, you know when something is right, and you know when something is wrong, and you know when something is for you and when it's not for you. Go with what you know, okay? Go with what you know. Don't let pride and ego get in the way. Go with what you know and go with what we are animals already, right? We have instinct and we have intuition. And it's like, allow for those impulses that are not driven by trauma or emotion or fear to take you to those places that you know are going to be better for you. Make better choices, so that you don't have to live your entire life in angst, because in all honesty, a lot of that is choice. It is literally choice. You choose certain pathways, and if you choose a certain path, you're choosing the consequences that come with that path, okay? So that is my message for you, Leo placements. Bitch, I got a new song coming out. I'm gonna put it in the bio below. But yeah, so that is what I have for you. Be easy on yourselves, Leo. Don't let nobody drive you crazy right now. Okay? All right. Sending you lots of love, and I will talk to you next time. Ciao!